How can you use your data to change? Here are 6 commonly used approaches for using data. Review performance. Find the root cause of problems. Prioritize improvement efforts. Set future performance goals. Recognize and compensate. Predict future performance. How effectively do you spend time using data? Review performance. Most companies review performance on a monthly basis, if not more. Unfortunately, comparisons to budget typically serve as the primary performance analysis tool. Worse yet, these reports are often made up of only numbers on paper. Trend lines for observing performance over time are often not used. The better practice approach is to use process-based ratios as the primary analysis tool, with year-over-year or month-over-month trend lines being used more effectively to access process behavior over time. Find the root cause of problems. Measuring the right things at a process level, precursors of bad outcomes in other words, will help you better evaluate the effectiveness of different work systems that are intended to prevent human error and equipment problems. Using opinion to find root causes will result in weak fixes, fixes that fail, wasted root cause analysis time, and ultimately bad leadership decisions. Prioritize improvements. Risk assessment and multi-voting are 2 common techniques that are used to prioritize improvements. Unfortunately, opinion instead of facts often serves as the main reference for deciding which possible improvements are selected, or what the impact of a given change or risk level might be. Multiple decision tools, such as Kempner-Trago decision analysis, exist out there, and they allow quantitative factors to be considered as options are evaluated. Set future performance goals. Don't make the mistake of simply bumping up last year's average by 5 or 10% to set your new performance goals. Instead, use process-based trends to evaluate recent performance levels. Consider the impact of expected process changes and improvements as new goals are set. Also, use control limits and variation analysis to determine the probability of actually achieving each set goal. Recognize and compensate. Most organizations base their formal recognition and compensation systems on numbers. The problem is that they often use the wrong numbers in setting recognition levels and compensation hurdles. Recognition and compensation expectations should be based on process vital signs that the person can control. And they can control these metrics by the manner in which they do their job each day, not by the actions others are expected to take. Predict future performance. This is the ultimate reason for using data. If you use the right ratios in the proper mix to consistently evaluate process performance, you will be in a much better position to also predict future performance. If you can integrate the use of control limits into your trend charts, you can actually predict the probability of achieving possible goals or more effectively meeting customer needs. Capture key process counts and ratios. If each process owner is required to improve those processes that he or she is responsible for, a tool similar to this example will need to be used. I've used the above example on a daily basis to monitor a number of process transactions that were completed in a given day. I also monitor the cost of those transactions and other key inputs and ratios that were associated with their execution. It might be the case that your processes don't go through multiple cycles in an 8-hour shift or day. If that's true, you still need to use this tool, but you only need to update the spreadsheet as each cycle is completed, instead of daily. Because this data is captured in table form in a spreadsheet, it can be easily trended and analyzed further. Charts can be constructed both for individual input or ratio trends, or to examine correlations that may exist between different numbers, such as rework and throughput rates. The goal of using this tool is to capture all of the key inputs associated with the execution of one or more process cycles. Once you've collected the inputs, you can create a variety of time-based and cost-based ratios that can help you better evaluate process performance. One of the mistakes we make in organizations relates to combining data from different processes together into one big number. For example, putting all the different type of work done at a job site into one safety number. This is also what we do, for example, when we attempt to control labor costs by only looking at performance to budget on a monthly basis. When we're under budget, we relax. When we're over budget, we try to come up with reasons why we're in this position, and we ask people to do a better job at controlling their costs. Unfortunately, we're often looking at the performance of several processes when we evaluate a given cost center. In turn, we're mixing good process performance with bad process performance. Because the processes are mixed, it's very difficult to target which processes need our attention the most. Worse yet, it's even more difficult to recognize those people whose processes improved in the most recent month. How do you analyze process performance? Do you really know what's going on without your data? The Daily Process Dashboard. Providing balanced performance feedback on a daily basis is perhaps the best way to develop an improvement-oriented work culture that focuses on all areas of importance. My experience has taught me that the phrase "no feedback, no motivation" makes a lot of sense. If people only get feedback specific to their daily contributions on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual basis, they will be relatively less motivated to improve. If feedback is only provided specific to a certain performance area, such as throughput, your people are less likely to consider safety, quality, or teamwork measures to be as important as the measures that you mention more often. I use this example daily dashboard every day to provide my people with performance feedback in the areas of safety, quality, people, and cost. Because I changed this information every day and tried to present it in a manner that made it look easy to read and understand, I found that my folks would actually look at it and comment about it. They might not pay attention to the exact numbers, but they sure knew that we wanted to have 4 greens in a day. My maintenance people would even give me feedback about the accuracy of certain downtime events that I'd list on the report. Some people were interested in the details, but others weren't. Almost everyone, however, would look at the colors. They knew that a 4-green day was a great thing to accomplish. They also learned over time how different waste events, such as downtime, absences, or quality problems, affected the larger production system, the work system itself. Even though most of them knew that if they'd experienced a good day or not when they left the plant every night, the daily dashboard helped explain why the day did not go as well as one might have hoped for. A daily dashboard similar to this one can be created for any process. If the process does not have a daily cycle, you might not be able to give people cycle time feedback each day. But you can still let them know what the key waste events for the day were, what significant accomplishments occurred, and how the day's performance compares with past or average performances. A lot of organizations are using color coding to reflect different levels of performance. Some are also beginning to look at a variety of performance areas. A much smaller percentage, however, actually give people daily feedback in a manner that helps focus on key waste areas, process-focused key waste areas, and inspire higher levels of performance across all the work teams. Capture daily process errors and failures. Before computers, it was a lot more difficult to capture and analyze the key errors, defects, and failures of a given process on a regular basis. Now that we have spreadsheets and databases, however, that most people can learn how to use, it's much easier to capture and analyze those key problems that result in time or financial waste each day. I've used error tracking databases similar to the downtime example shown here to reduce downtime, rework levels, product waste, late deliveries, customer complaints, and freight claims, for example. This tool is easy to use, but you have to be committed to capturing your key errors, defects, and failures each day, or at least someone has to capture them. Most organizations do a pretty good job of this when it comes to looking at personal injuries, for example. But it's rarely the case when each process owner can show you a similar database for the processes they are responsible for. What types of problem tracking databases do you use in your organization? Do you use them to help identify and make improvements in all key performance areas, such as safety, quality, people, and cost? Once you've set up the database and made the commitment to capturing your key errors, defects, and failures each day, you're in a position to use trending and Pareto analysis to identify high-leverage waste areas. By using the sorting, query, and graphic functions that are common to software apps like Excel and Access, you can easily produce charts that visually show you where your problem areas are. This is difficult to do without creating the pictures, however. Look at the above example, which is only sorted by date. Can you easily spot where the problem areas are? What degree of loss is this process experiencing each day? Additionally, we often fail to recognize how significant a problem is until we analyze the frequency with which it is occurring and the duration of the occurrences. Instead, we grow complacent and begin to accept our process waste as just being the way things are.